Gaming journalism, game journalism layoffs. Everyone suffers without expert criticism. This just goes to show that gaming journalism is a joke, right? And there seems to be a lot of layoffs when it pertains to gaming journalism, which I would say is good. Because a lot of these gaming journalists, so to speak, and I'm really using that in quotations here, a lot of them are not actually real journalists. Most of them are just in it for the money. They don't actually play some actual authentic games, or they don't actually give authentic reviews. They're more just on the line of, we're here to push an agenda. Because that's what they did. We are here to say, if this game doesn't win game of the year, like they did with God of War Ragnarok, when Elden Ring won game of the year, we're going to cause a riot, right? That's literally what some people out here were saying. People were saying, you have some people out here that saying, oh, we're game journalists, but we don't actually play some of these games. But we still gonna make a review for some people that actually play the games and take their ideas about what the game is. Instead of, we didn't actually have an actual authentic reaction ourselves, like, because we didn't actually play the games, because we don't play these games, right? Fans, developers, and the rest of the gaming community are harmed when hostile market forces push talented writers and editors out of the industry. Yeah, no, that's definitely not what happened right there. Basically what happened was, hopefully, I'm sorry about that, freaking ads. Basically what happened was, you had some game journalists out here freaking trash talk gamers for being bigots, being incels, this and that, losers. And then when the gaming journalists basically got the Uno reverse card, and you have a lot of individuals that actually play games criticize the game journalists, all of a sudden it's foul play now. That's literally, yes, like, they criticize gamers for saying, like, we don't want these crap behind games, and then you have gaming journalists saying, like, no, keep these games. Completely doing being huge kiss asses, right? They're being huge kiss asses to these games. Because you have game journalists like this, that promote some terrible ass games, and people wonder why these freaking multi-billion dollar companies, AAA game companies, developers, they put out incomplete games. They get their asses whooped by the freaking independent guys. Like the Scott Coffins, Five Nights at Freddy's, the Dark Deceptions, the Bendy and the Ink Machine, Bendy and the Dark Revival. What's that other one called? It was literally, well, I've got the other name of that one popular indie game, these AA games. They out here completely just whooping the ass of all these AAA games, right? And for good reason too, because those games are actually made by developers that actually care about the games. They actually care about gamers. They actually care about the gaming industry. So they say, you know what, we're not gonna work for a multi-billion dollar company, and then they make some washed up version of our game that's not our idea. But just keep on going with that. I'm very fortunate to have a job that lets me regularly write about video games and enjoy healthcare. Really, I worked hard to get here, but I'm also lucky to have this chance. So it's been absolutely demoralizing to see countless other talented video game journalists lose their opportunities as wave after wave of layoffs rips through the industry, silencing veterans and denying newcomers. It doesn't have to be this way. Okay, first of all, some of these newcomers are panderous. They don't actually care, like I said before, they don't actually care about games. They're more on the line of just pushing a freaking agenda. Like, you have some people who are journalists out here, when it pertains to video game journalists, when it pertains to Hollywood journalists, they say, oh, we need to toss out the thing that makes the gaming industry work and just completely change it up, right? We need to put, more LGBT representation. We need to put more black pandering. We need to put more of that in here. Instead of just making some good games with at least a decent story or a good story, good gameplay. No, we have to get rid of all of that in order to appease to a certain audience that doesn't actually play video games, that doesn't actually give a damn about video games. Even if you don't think you care about video game journalism, you should. These people are desperate. Okay, for what I'm getting at, this is like, this person is on the chopping block. This person right here is on the chopping block to get fired and having to find an actual job. And they are telling you that you should care about their job, because without gaming journalism, what would we be? I will tell you what we would be. We would be in a place where games are not released, unfinished, buggy as hell, glitches, not complete, just incomplete games. We will be in a much more better place. Video games are art, and the video game community as a whole is so much poor without a strong media that's about to champion and critique the art. The media can't exist without support for its workers. That's not true. That's definitely not true. Because when you got guys who are independent, like the whether you like them or not, the Geeks and Gamers, the Eric Jalad, which I like, the Raging Golden Eagle, the Fatanga, a whole bunch of these other guys that actually give out some actual criticism. They're not kiss asses. They actually want good games. They want to play good games. They give out some actual, reviews like that, but they're not taken seriously, or they're not called up by these companies, because these multi-billion dollar companies, all they want to do is bring in they kiss ass fan base. And if they put out some shitty game, then they'll be like, hey, we did our best. Once again, and they the same ones out here getting their asses kicked by the freaking independent game developers. Like I said, from Five Nights at Freddy, from the Dark Deception to the Bendy and the Ink Machine, and even some of these Chinese, Japanese horror games, they do a lot more better than a lot of these AAA games, because those developers there actually care more about gaming than these multi-billion dollar companies. And not saying that's a bad thing, it's just embarrassing. You guys are getting backed up by millions and billions of dollars, but y'all getting your asses whooped by some people in a basement, or in a room, or even some guy at the library that's making games. They're at the library making some games right now, and they making better games than these freaking AAA games that are not as buggy. Yeah, the graphics may not be as good, but at least they're not really buggy, and they got a compelling story. Excuse me. You can say this is a bit inside baseball, and honestly, I wish it was. But the current layoff nightmare is by no means exclusive to folks who write about video games. PC Max covers tech news, so that means we've written about thousands of people losing their jobs at Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Twitter. These massive corporations sucked up so much cash, especially during the height of the pandemic, and yet had no choice but to put an unconscionable number of employees out of work as they get ahead of the recession. Yeah, that's y'all fault. That's y'all fault. That's journalism fault. Instead of being realistic about some things, instead of pandering to a certain audience that doesn't actually care about your company, doesn't actually care about video games, doesn't actually care about the media. All they care about is, woke, this new school woke BS. This whole pandering BS, like what Disney is doing. And then Disney is having a freaking galactic war with Ron DeSantis down there in Florida. Disney losing money. They don't realize that, they keep this up. I'm pretty sure, because they lost $1.3 billion last year. And they still putting up with this freaking this new school progressive woke BS. But don't listen to some of us here that actually want these companies to actually succeed. Listen to the people that wants the companies to burn if they don't do what they're told. But video games are what I care about and what I follow, which means paying attention to my peers in this space. It also means seeing a soul-crushing succession of news stories detailing the latest publication that suddenly decides to scale back. In the past few months, we've seen layoffs at Fanbytes, GameSpot, Gamer Group, Giant Bomb, Vox Media, which is a freaking left authoritarian left-wing media. So Bon Voyage to Vox. The Washington Post, also a huge left-wing media. Bon Voyage in that one. And other outlets. Sometimes only a few people will let go. Sometimes entire websites cease to exist. But no matter the layoff scale or the amount of attention it received, at least one person lost their job and suffered the potentially life-threatening consequences that follow. So, once again, this is their fault. This is their fault. Because they didn't actually do authentic journalism. They was just playing kiss ass with the freaking authoritarian left. The freaking woke progressive left. That's what they're doing. They're not actually putting in some like I said, when pertaining the freaking Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. You have some people out here saying like Elden Ring doesn't have a story, when there's literally 6 stories in that one game alone, or Elden Ring has no dialogue. You literally need to do a whole bunch of dialogue in order to get those 6 to 7 endings. But gaming journalism matters, right? We need gaming journalism, right? That's what they say. We need gaming journalism. Okay. The fatal wounds to video game journalism don't just hurt these writers and editors. They hurt games and they hurt readers and viewers and listeners who care about games. Yeah, no, they don't. No, they don't. This is a bold-faced lie. We don't need the media at all when it pertains to video games. Because I think back then when there weren't so many video game journalist outlets, video games were doing a lot more better. The freaking gaming developers actually care about what they put out. Nowadays, they don't care what they put out. They just putting out crap to make a quick buck. And gaming journalism don't call this out. And then when they lose their jobs, now all of a sudden it's crazy. Like what's happening right now? We're rapidly losing our smartest voices, and it's killing our ability to regularly have the intelligent and meaningful conversations that help games and players grow. When we build up game media, we draw more attention to small projects that deserve more love. We openly criticize big projects that deserve more scorn. Psst, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. We step back and examine a game's bigger potential role in society. Oh, yeah, role in society. Okay. So if the game does not represent this, the game does not represent that, this game is not pandering to these group of people, the game's not pandering to these group of people, then the game's most likely bad and it deserves a 1 out of 10. We speak to hardcore enthusiasts as well as the curious mainstream. We aren't force-fed media. I'm sorry. We aren't force-fed corporate marketing points or fanboy misinformation. Hold on. Let me read that again. We aren't force-fed corporate marketing points or fanboy misinformation. That's a bold-faced freaking lie right there. Yes, you are. That's the reason why you're getting the chopping block. You guys played kiss ass for so long, you didn't actually give out some authentic criticism and tell why a game can be a lot more better. But now that apparently, you kissing ass to these corporate guys, all of a sudden they give you the chopping block. Now all of a sudden you say, "Oh, why throw that all away? Why throw us away? Because you made it possible, you idiots." In a way, the crisis mirrors the ongoing video game preservation crisis. It's a similar gross disrespect for history and the value of institutional knowledge. We need to honor the past to move forward into the future, just as we can't keep erasing old games. Yeah, even though some developers also try that, which is why they keep on doing this whole remix and shit and remasters. We also can't keep preventing writers from having lately careers covering games. We can't keep preventing them from gaining the perspective and communicating the wisdom that such a long career will provide. There will always be people so passionate about video games that they'll want to share these thoughts with the world, even if they had to be exploited to do so. Yeah, those people, they usually stay independent. The people that actually care about video games and even Hollywood movies and all that stuff, they usually stay independent. They don't work for big corporations. They don't play kiss ass to corporations. They'll let you know, like, this is trash. This movie is trash. Excuse me. Because when you got Hollywood, even the video game developers in Hollywood, they put out so much stupid BS, and people don't call them out on it. Then they just gonna put out more BS. Like I said with Disney, they continuously put out BS, but they keep on doing it to save face to a freaking audience that doesn't even give them money for real. Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, that movie freaking review bomb. I don't got Disney Plus. I'm not even watching that crap. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't know. I'm not watching that crap. I'm done with the MCU. I don't know what the hell they doing up there at freaking DC. And you got all these video game companies making all these remakes. They're doing the freaking. They just did the Resident Evil 4 remake. It's not a masterpiece, but it's definitely not a soulless remake. And I probably had that video sometime later on, maybe. I'm still deciding on that. And then they got the Silent Hill 2 remake coming out, even though they should have started off with the first one. I don't know why y'all skipped the first. Skipped the first one. We're straight to the second one. After that, maybe Resident Evil 5 remake will come out. But you had some dumbass games on there saying Resident Evil 5 is too racist for a remake because it depicts Africans as savages. That's not what it did. You're just a freaking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. They actually think that. Yes. Like I said, game generation is a joke, right? There's a reason why we have so many games out here that are not finished, and you got the AAA games getting their ass whipped by the freaking AA games, the independent game developers. And you know what? Well deserved. The game developers, the independent game developers, that is, are showing the AAA game developers how it's done. So, kudos to them.